4:55 a.m. at Alexandria, captured land in Zaporizhzhia, 31 miles from the Russian line. A Buk M3 missile launcher worth about $50 million is being targeted. It is not a heavy weapon, but a swarm of Ukrainian FPV drones that cost less than $5,000 in total. Within 90 seconds, a 1,000-fold difference in value can turn into a strategic shock, reversing the tide of battle in the air. From a fortified command bunker 31 miles away, Ukrainian operators watched via cameras mounted on the lead drone, codenamed Ghost Hunter. The 9K317 Buk M3 system, considered the golden shield in Russian air defense, a range of 70 kilometers, a missile speed of more than 2,300 kilometers h, and the ability to engage multiple targets at the same time. A mobile fortress designed to turn the sky into a forbidden zone. Ukrainian intelligence has determined that this is the key to the upcoming Russian offensive. If it is allowed to exist, the enemy will have complete air superiority, meaning any counterattack will be strangled in the bud. Therefore, the task assigned to them could not be simpler: neutralize it before it is too late. The lead drone flies at 60 miles per hour, just a few meters above the ground to avoid enemy radar. Any higher, and it would be instantly detected and destroyed. In the command bunker, the atmosphere was as tense as a bowstring, each passing second heavy. 07, low. The screen suddenly went haywire. The image shattered into white streaks. Russia had activated Kasuka 4, a wall of electromagnetic waves that threatened to render the sophisticated drone useless. On the Russian console, the moment the drone signal disappeared made them think they had won. But that moment was exactly what Ukraine had been waiting for all along. When communication is lost, the built-in AI immediately activates terminal guidance mode, turning the drone into a self-propelled arrow without any additional control commands. The Russian military believes that jamming is the final blow, but for Ukraine, it is only the opening door to the final stage. Drones become fire and forget missiles, completely immune to electronic waves. From the moment it seemed to fail, they turned into autonomous weapons, silently turning the tables. 0825. The Buk M3's 9S-36M radar scanned the sky like an invisible lighthouse. Inside the command vehicle, the crew began to despair. They thought they were the masters of the skies, protected by unchallenged multi-million-dollar technology. Russia's fatal mistake was obvious. The entire system was designed only to deal with large, fast, high-flying targets. But against a swarm of tiny drones, it was completely helpless. The $50 million beast could take down a fighter jet, but it left a huge gap for an army of drones. And just then, the Ukrainian drone swarm swooped in. Russian radar scanned the sky, but saw only a blank space. Then, suddenly, the screen turned into a colorful mosaic. More than 100 false signals appeared at once, rushing towards them at supersonic speeds. Caught off guard, the Russian commander followed the script, prioritized the quickest target. He gave the order to fire, and within seconds, 4 9M317M missiles, each worth $500,000, soared into the air. but they all exploded in empty air, with no target in sight. The attack was called Echo Swarm Mirage. The decoy drones not only emitted jamming signals, but also reflected radar signals with a tiny error, just 2.8 degrees. It was this almost invisible detail that fooled the multi-billion-dollar computer into thinking a real missile was coming. Russia just burned more than $2 million just to hit nothing. This is not just a financial waste. Every misfired missile is a lost defensive opportunity. Ukraine knows that by forcing Russia to expend expensive weapons, it erodes its strategic air defenses in every battle. Realizing they had been tricked, the Russian side immediately changed tactics, locate the signal source, destroy it. As soon as the order was given, the missiles continued to launch, and each decoy drone fell down one by one. On the Ukrainian screen, the icons gradually disappeared. The Russian soldiers' joy was short-lived when the real trap exploded. The decoy drones not only disintegrated when shot down, but also carried 3-kilo EMP warheads. Each time they were hit, they released a powerful electromagnetic pulse, paralyzing all surrounding electronic systems. The EMP pulse did not affect the Buk M3's solid protection, but it was enough to temporarily stop the $15 million Pantsir S-1 close-in defense system. Russia was busy killing flies, not realizing that the swarm of flies contained a silent danger. For a moment, Pantsir fell silent. The link with Buk was cut off. Close-in defense naturally opened a gap in the golden 60 seconds. That was the opportunity Ukraine had been waiting for. Through that door, the main attack drone began to rush in. At Oro 1:59 a.m., the countdown started. 60 seconds to impact. The Russian side was in chaos. While the Ukrainian screen lit up, the target was bare, no cover left. The drone camera showed every steel rivet, the trail of engine smoke on the launch pad. The silhouettes of Russian soldiers loomed in the command tower, confused and bewildered. They sensed something was wrong, but they did not expect the arrow to come flying at 100 km/h. At the last minute, the Russian crew tried to turn the giant launcher around to counterattack, but the heavy machine moved too slowly. Time was no longer on their side. Attack! The Ukrainian pilot's voice rang out calmly. At exactly 02:00, the drone swooped in, carrying an 18-kilo warhead aimed straight at the weakest link between the launcher and the turret. The initial impact damaged the control bay, knocking the radar off its axis. More importantly, the shock triggered 4 9M317 missiles on the platform, creating a chain reaction. In an instant, The entire $40 million air defense system was wiped out, leaving only a charred mass of iron. A symbol of technology once considered invulnerable had disappeared from the battlefield. But the tragedy for the Russian side was not over yet. A missile that had not yet stabilized suddenly flew out of orbit. It flew aimlessly and hit a 16 million Ka-52 attack helicopter 5 kilometers away. The helicopter exploded, sending a bright flash across the night sky. The official report later attributed it to Ukrainian sabotage, as admitting to shooting down one's own plane would have undermined troop morale. Strategically, it was a devastating blow. The loss of the Buk M3 opened a 43-mile gap in air defenses, exposing a vital supply line around the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. Russia was unable to replenish it quickly because it was constrained by sanctions and technological limitations. This means that Ukraine's victory created more than just a single gap. Russia was forced to withdraw systems from other areas to fill the gap, which in turn created new gaps elsewhere. A defensive domino effect began. It is a battle of two minds. Russia relies on heavy, expensive, and slow to adapt weapons. Ukraine, on the other hand, is fast, cheap, and innovative. Where Russia needs years to develop new systems, Ukraine can come up with new tactics in weeks. Tonight, Ukraine did more than destroy a missile system worth tens of millions of dollars. It also shook up an old way of thinking about war. In the blazing fire, the old rules were erased, giving way to a new program.
Основная задача от радио.
This was no random attack, but the result of a covert resistance network. After hours of surveillance, they discovered a critical weakness, a short refueling gap. At exactly 06:48 a.m., the FPV drones were launched from a secret location. In the quiet night, the atmosphere was tense and suffocating. All bets were on one moment, either success or total failure.